All right. So who wants to kick us off? If you got a question, go ahead and throw it into the chat. I'm just going to finish sending us live here. Weekly Q&A. All right, awesome. Cool. James, got a dummy question. Is there such a thing, James? What do you got?
I don't know, maybe. So I saw your positive intent how-to, and I don't quite know how to implement it. So I have a client who has a trigger based on a stage change, but I want a text to be sent out in that stage, but I want it to go in two different texts. And the second text only happens if they reply back that specific text. Does that make sense?
Yes, you'd have two campaigns and you're going to have a positive intent for the first campaign. So if somebody does reply positive, they feed into the second campaign and get the second text, right?
Okay, I didn't think of it that way. Right now it's just one campaign, and it sends, once the stage changes, the trigger hits a campaign. In the campaign is one text. I want to break it up into two texts, but the second text only happens upon reply. But there's a whole bunch of other conversations that might be happening. They might be a part of other campaigns. So I just want to make sure it goes only if they reply to that text.
Yeah, so when you break that text into two, make the second part a second campaign. And then your trigger can say if somebody's in campaign A, reply channel is SMS, intent is positive, add to campaign B.
Okay, so I just need to break it into different campaigns.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
Rich, do you want to hop off mute?
Hey, Chase.
Hey, what's happening?
I am, every day I learn more features and capabilities of HighLevel, and the more I learn, the more questions I have. So yeah, I'm just learning as much as I can at this point, how many, all the things it can do and all the ways it could work for me, and all the ways to help you guys out by reselling it.
Cool. Did you have a specific question we can help with today?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've been watching a lot of your videos on YouTube to learn how to do things. I mean, dynamic texts and all that stuff. I do eventually, hopefully I could resell it to affiliate it to clients.
Rich, who's your clients right now?
Chiropractors.
Okay, cool. So I won't tell it. I won't out the guy, but I know somebody who absolutely crushes this in an insanely large way in this vertical. So we're in fact, I actually know at least 3 people, but that we do very well for that niche. that I can tell you. What are you doing so far to get this out to your client base in that niche?
I've done a few database reactivations, and I'm really just beginning. It's my first month. Yeah. But I've done a few database.
How many total clients you have so far?
4.
Okay, and of the 4, what are you currently doing for them on the service on a sort of monthly service kind of basis?
Just database reactivation so far.
Okay, so how are you? So the problem with DR, right, is the DRs are a great way to kick the door down. But if you kick that door down and you don't have follow on to that, what's going to happen, right? They're going to fall off. So what's your next service you're going to
eventually it'll be Facebook ads or Google ads or some other source. I think it just makes sense to start with the database because it's warm.
No, that I totally agree with you. But like you've done one of these, right?
I've done a few, yes.
So now what? What have you gone on to? What have you already?
Well, I mean, they're in progress. I mean, I've done a few. I haven't done the entire database. I haven't reacted the whole thing. I've reacted only a few hundred out of many thousand.
Okay, so what I would tell you that from my experience with other marketers in this niche, if they have existing trust, with that person, they'll immediately sell them into the Facebook ads or the Google ads because they know that once the DR falls off, it gives time for the Facebook ads to lift up. If they don't have trust and they're using the DR as the way to build that trust, they're still immediately, as soon as they deliver that first customer or those first couple of customers over those first couple of days, they're starting that conversation. Because the problem is, if you don't start that conversation, you wait for the DR to be finished, there's this big natural drop-off point where all of a sudden the leads drop off, the customers drop off, and then it's harder for you to start that sales conversation.
39.97 value.
39.97, yep, I'm with you.
REM community, the Real Estate Marketing Conversion Academy.
Hey, Chase, you wanna do a mute on that?
100% priceless. But I
No,
highly
Chase walked away, and I'm not a whatever it's called. Anyways, Rich, keep going.
We're gonna get all of that today.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that advice. That's good. I'll definitely implement that.
Now remember, the reason why you should listen to me is not because I'm a marketer, but because I talk to some of the biggest marketers in the world.
Go ahead and just
and I steal their great ideas because they tell me what works and what doesn't work. That's why you should listen to me.
Understand.
Okay.
Chase,
so if you
come back.
Joining, you're not quite
Go
sure.
to the bathroom.
Hey, Franklin, you're not on mute.
I want to make sure that we're getting.
Oh, sorry, guys. Chase had to wait. Oh, Franklin for the win. Good job, Franklin. You rock.
Yeah, I
thanks.
just had to say his name. And
That's
Thanks,
right.
Sean. That helped. I'll do everything you said, and
because you want to crush it with people, right? And so then the other big I'll always dole this advice out whether people like it or not, because it's just consistently correct. So the other big thing is, long term, you got to make sure that you're surrounding your customer with every piece of marketing they need. So I don't care what niche it is, but let's say chiropractors. Look, you should be doing their website, you should be doing their PPC, you should be doing their SEO, you should be doing their Facebook ads. You need to be doing all of this, and here's why. It creates two opportunities: one, additional revenue, and additional longevity. It's like a double win. And so the number one thing I find when I talk to somebody like you, who's like a single owner operator just getting started.
No, it wasn't the same hook.
Martin.
So just
Martin Keene, please mute. Does that work? But the biggest challenge so the biggest challenge we see in this situation is that you can't do it all, right? You can't do all the services. So look at our white label services marketplace. What you should do is stay in the sales seat, sell the services, and then pitch off to the white label team. That'll allow you to do what you need to do, which is scale up your group. But as you scale up, when you surround them with services, you're not losing people off the back end. If you talk to people who just do Facebook ads, I've talked to some exceptions, don't get me wrong, but the vast majority of people are keeping their clients 4 to 6 months on Facebook only, versus you surround your client with all these services, you're keeping them for years. It's a totally different ballgame. It's just harder for most people to step up to it because they try to do all the fulfillment themselves. And that's the biggest mistake I see consistently.
definitely. How best to give clients access to HighLevel? I mean, I know you could share it with them or affiliate it. How best to?
No, always under the white label. So again, HighLevel, let's just think about what HighLevel is. It's a tool, right? So think about it like I love the analogy of in fact, it's very astute because I have a contractor at my house right now, but I go downstairs right now, I go outside, he's got some fancy saw. I bet you money I can go buy that same saw somewhere somehow. Here's the problem though. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll probably cut my finger off with it. And so this is the problem. If it was just about tools, if it was just about software, like HighLevel wouldn't even exist. In fact, lots of people on this call wouldn't exist. These people could just go buy the software and it would just magically solve their problems. But it doesn't do that. You need to bring them in under your white label because you need to surround the customer. I'm the provider of the software. I'm the provider of the services. I'm the provider of the solution, right, to the problem that you have. Remember, every single business owner roughly wants to do the same thing. They don't want to own a business, actually. They want to be a chiropractor. They just want to show up today at the office. They want people that let's magically walk through the door wanting them to be a chiropractor, whatever the heck that is, to those people. And if you can be that solution, right, and you can prove month in and month out that the reason Jenny and Sam and Bobby walked through the front door and paid the money was you're going to win. You're going to keep people forever. So that's your mission, right? And that's our mission. Our mission is to help you complete that in every way we can. So
I'll keep doing what I'm doing then. I'm already white labeling, so I'll just keep doing that.
Yeah, keep doing that. And you can limit the feature set and you can figure out kind of how much your clients want to do it and don't want to do it. The mileage varies there, right? So like the chiropractor probably never wants to see the darn thing. The front desk person probably doesn't want to touch the darn thing either. So you got to kind of figure out where you go there. One of the biggest fall off points that we see is in the nurture, right? So you've probably seen the automatic booking flow with the positive intent triggers. Have you gone through that yet?
Yeah. Yes.
You must get that implemented, but even off the back of that, people are going to ask questions. And in the long term, I don't really believe that the chiropractor or the front desk person at the chiropractor is ever going to do a good job answering those questions. You might be able to get yourself by in the short term on that, but in the long term, you're going to need to hire a VA probably, or work with a VA that's already in our group to come in and pick up the back half of it. Because if you don't, you're not going to end up being successful, because if the leads aren't properly nurtured, they're never going to blame themselves. They will always blame you.
Do you have any recommendations on how to do that? Because that's one thing that I'm looking to do as well. If, like, say I've got some chat, which I've got a lot of autoresponders in a bunch of different ways. So I've got like 80% of the chat completely automated. What I would love to do though is the calls is something that I would love to handle. And I mean, a VA is, yeah. So
Samuel,
that's
I got to tell you, man, I'm just itching to get into this business, which is really bad. I'm like a recovering addict here. Yeah. So, I mean, long term, and I think this won't be until January, but I used to run an answering service, which I'd like to tell people this story. And as lame as that sounds, it was a phenomenal business because it grew to, we had 5,000 small business customers. We were a very serious operation. We had 400 employees. But why it was so cool was because when people call in or they text in, right? That's just huge money on the table. But when you get engagement from a lead, the likelihood of close goes way up, right? So long-term, we will try to find a solution to this problem. But we do have some answering services actually now using our platform. So I think kind of next year, one way or another, whether it's through a partnership with one of those people or maybe even doing it in-house, I don't know. We will find a solution for all of you in that, because I do think that there's huge money to be made in all the calls your customers miss and all the chats they don't get back to. So there's something.
Absolutely. There. And do you know of any way, because that's something that I'm trying to find right now, is like, how can I handle all the follow-up instead of the front desk? Because a lot of the times going into training them.
It.
Exactly. So do you know of any really great companies to do that?
Yeah.
I mean,
yes, I do. Go hire Call Ruby. Callruby.com. They are or it's Ruby. It's actually Ruby.com. They finally got enough money to buy it, but they are the absolute best. I hate to say this because I didn't own this company, but I did watch. They're from Portland, where I'm from, and I watched them grow from a lame-o little loser office across from my condo into a really amazing service. They are the most expensive, but they are also the best. And basically, here's the beautiful thing about this: you can white label them very easily, right? So just go look at their pricing page, and even if you wanted to sell it at cost, you don't have to tell your customer that it's them, right? You could just say, oh, I now offer call answering services. And all you have to do is just call them up every time you add somebody, and they give you a phone number. And how it works is you can set it up so that if let's say it's called busy no answer call forwarding. So basically I call your number, it rings 3 times. If you don't pick up, it'll auto forward to whatever number you give. And the way all the answering services work is they basically give you a phone number to roll to, and then you can just automatically roll all of the calls over.
Gotcha. So the one thing that I'm also thinking about is using HighLevel. I'd love for Call Ruby to be able to go in there. Like if someone says, yes, I want to do this.
They're not going to play that game. I will say there are a couple of people though who are doing this. Let me give you
Conversionly.
Yeah. Conversionly is doing it.
They're in our community.
I've also got April at Bid Slot Marketing Corp, April Dodson. I'm going to throw her name in here to anybody who's interested. You might want to reach out. She's building her whole answering service on top of HighLevel, and she's already been in the platform. So I think she's also a good one to work with. One thing I will say is we are building out the inbound calling stuff right now, and it won't be live for a couple of months. But once it is, I think this is the type of thing we could go to town on.
Absolutely, because I'm wanting somebody. Like I was looking on Upwork for like a freelancer, right? But if I'm wanting them to take calls and they're not working full time,
not gonna
and
work.
then it's like, and so I'm wanting somebody that's like similar to a call center, but then a call center is not going to do the other chat. So, I mean, what I could do is hire a VA to handle the chat and
No, just
hire
talk
a
to
call-
April. Talk to April. She's going to try to do, she's going to do both.
Hallelujah. Okay, I'll do that. And I've got one more quick question. So I'm using the positive intent trigger to reply to somebody in two different campaigns. And for some reason, it's double sending on both of them.
Well, okay. The only reason it's going to double send is because they're getting added to the campaign multiple times. So if you click
I turned off add multiple.
It's still doing it?
Yes, it was still doing it. It's really weird. And like I turned off both of the triggers and now it's only sending one, but I've got some phantom trigger somewhere that I've checked.
Okay, so
everything.
PM me all your details. I want the account name, I want the trigger name, I want a conversation reference, and I want your login email address. Give me all that. And or a Loom and Varun who's on this call will get that shortly.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, sir. Let's see.
Where did we leave off?
I was gonna say we have some people in the chat. Melissa, is there a way to? No, wait. Rich already talked. Is there a way to allow for users to have more than one signature? I thought we could do signature by location. Varun, is that true? Did we lose you? No, you're here.
Signature by location.
I think so, right? Melissa, is that the idea? Like, if I'm in
So I've got several clients that, of course, have more than one business, and so they want to have a signature that they could say, okay, when I put myself as this person, then this signature gets pulled in. If I put myself as another person, this other signature gets pulled in.
Well, couldn't you just have two users for each person?
What's that, Chase?
Each person could have two users.
But that's what we're doing now, is setting them up that way. I just wondered if there was ever, and if we can't, it's no big deal. I told them if they want to buy 2 instances of the software, they can do it.
I was going to say, Melissa, that's the answer. You have multiple businesses. You need to be running these all in multiple locations. Yeah. Done and done.
They were complaining, and I'm like, hey, I'll sell you 2.
Well, that's the answer, actually. How can they even conceivably? Here's the problem with that silliness, right? Let's just say we went all out and we did some crazy nonsense where we made that possible. They're just going to run up against yet another edge case where it's like, oh, wait, but could I have multiple this? And it's like, no, listen. These are
and then they have to split the leads, right? Is how do I know which lead came in for which business or which account? And then we'll have to split the leads and it'll just keep going deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just it's called pay me more money.
Yeah. I've got a couple like that already. I've got.
Good. Well, there you go. So in regards to the email events, is the bounce trigger hard bounce or soft bounce or both? Varun?
So right now it's both, but we are planning to change that to only hard bounce.
Thank you.
Is that my question that you're answering? Sorry. Oh, email events. So is that being displayed in the CRM itself? Can, like, if somebody clicked on, 10 people were bounced, I can go see who those 10 were?
Yes, that is coming this week.
Oh, awesome.
Nice. James, any idea of timeline for 2-step order form and having a free line item?
Let me see where that's at.
I've had a couple of people try to integrate their G Suite and GMB and don't have a biz in the dropdown. That's because whatever email address they're connecting to isn't the one they've got on their GMB.
Okay, so
they can connect. Remember, they can connect multiple. Just make sure the one that's primary is the one that's on the GMB.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they can switch it too, right? Like,
so if they don't have their Google My Business set up at all, then that's going to be the same problem. Obviously, it's all about the Google My Business.
But let's take the larger conversation here, right? You should be utilizing the agency GMB stuff. So you can have a GMB agency account, and then you can actually, as part of your SOP, you can actually request to get management access to their GMBs, and then you can do all the connecting for them.
Oh,
that's the better way to roll.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do that, you can even get like 20% of G Suite as an affiliate payment somehow.
Oh, I didn't know about that. That's
I met a guy who's been building up like thousands of agencies over the years.
Well, and you just look really cool in the eyes of Google, right? They're like, whoa, who's this heavy hitter that's got 100 GMB accounts connected?
Tony Sheets.
Oh yeah.
If anybody ever has like email nightmares, this guy goes headfirst into them. His only requirement is that he becomes the agency. Next question here was about timeline of funnel folders.
That's not on the list yet, but I will see where we can slot that in.
James, is there a way to view open rate for email campaigns? So yeah, you should see that when you go into the campaign now.
Well, it depends
show
on who
you
the
the
who's the SMTP provider. Is he using Mailgun?
Yeah, it's Mailgun, but I don't see it anywhere. I just see active, completed, replied.
Click into the campaign.
Here?
Yep. Because there's individual steps. That's the thing.
Okay.
Delivered, bounced, open, clicked.
It wasn't showing in here. Okay. Okay, maybe the problem was that it was showing 0. Okay, yeah, maybe that was the problem. It's just not reporting anything.
Oh, here, can you also make sure in Mailgun that you have your open tracking turned on?
Ah, okay. I will check on that.
That's one thing I have seen people accidentally switch off.
Open tracking. All right, thanks.
Uh-huh.
And Sean, for email tracking, is that only for Mailgun or is that across anything?
Right. So right now, we tried to get the other we tried to use the SMTP protocols and specs, and we found that like half of these people just don't play ball. Like they're like wholesale ignoring the SMTP spec. They're basically, it's quite clear now that people are like either integrate with us directly or like good luck to you, right? So from our perspective, long term, the way we're thinking about this is add a first class integration with SendGrid, and then potentially add an actual Gmail integration. But for this year, add a first class integration with SendGrid. So then when you come in, it's really like SendGrid or Mailgun. Take your pick between the two. One of them should be good for you, and then call it a day.
What about with G Suite? So many people want to use their G Suite thing, and then
so there's two use cases here, in my opinion. So one is I'm just being a cheapskate use case, in which case I've got nothing for you there. SendGrid's got a $14 account, $15 account, so whatever. You're not really a marketing agency if you're just using your Gmail account. The other piece though that is a little more legit is like, I'm just like a hard charging dial-in salesperson, and like I would, in a Close.io sort of, inside sales rep kind of situation where really what we're trying to do there more than anything is sync up Gmail so that if I send an email out for my Gmail account or someone replies back into my Gmail account, we're sucking that in. That's the thing where it's kind of a twofold. It's one, we really have to field a team of developers just to do that one thing. And Google has like a $40,000 fee you have to pay to get access to that API, which we will pay eventually, but it's kind of like, just trying to figure out like, who are we serving here? How many people have that use case? Is this worth doing today? When do we do it, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's my guy. Is a hard charging sales guy, and he wants his Google, his Gmail to integrate.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to that. If he calls Close.io, he's going to be spending $95 a month with them just to get that to happen. So it's about figuring out like maybe we monetize that in a different way. Not sure, but over time, figuring out for some of these features, if they're it depends how niche they are. If they're super niche, maybe we're able to charge a little more for them and push them out that way. But it's just about, honestly, at this point, it's just about figuring out, well, what's the priority and where does it go?
Okay.
Cool.
Hey,
Tubbs,
Varun,
any way to mark? Oh,
that's
who's that?
Sorry, Chase. I was going to jump in there if you guys don't mind. I was going to ask Varun if he has any updates on like the API and when you're going to be releasing or any progress on that.
A couple of these APIs before the rest. So I guess the lookup and the smart list you already have. The calendar API is on the list to get started this week. So other than this, I think the opportunities and custom values the user permissions, opportunities, and custom values are the other ones that we talked about. So it will all still roll out. I think it was the 24th of August or something to deliver all the APIs. So it will still roll out by then.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Tubbs, any way to mark reply stop as automatically unread in conversations? So you could do half of that, right? But we'd have to add a new trigger action, Varun, to like mark as read, mark as unread.
Yeah. So we don't have that yet, but yes, we will have to add that in.
Tubbs, that might be on the ideas board too. I don't know.
One thing I did want to, I just sent this to Varun, but I just heard back from Google and they've opened back up business messaging. So you know, like on when you search a business on your mobile phone and you can hit message, they used to forward it to an SMS number, and we used to be able to pull it right into HighLevel.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of that, and then they didn't have an API. They've now released an API, and I'm in touch with the business management team, and they said that we can implement it. So we'll try to get back to we'll try to get that on the list ASAP to get that back in place, because I bet you a lot of your clients are getting business messaging, and Google's trying to push their nonsense like Google app that no one will ever use to get this done. So I'm happy they finally got off that horse, and they're going to let us get involved again. Because imagine, I don't know how many people are getting how many messages from that, but I think that's really cool that they've got that.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even know you could do that, but it's in the Google Maps app, right? You can send a chat via the Google.
No, it's straight up on the, like if you go right now on your phone and you just search like Bob's Towing, if Bob's Towing has a listing, there's a button, they can turn it on. There's a button that says send a message. And I'm telling you, this is going to be more and more and more the future of how people communicate with businesses, right? And so, and things like this, in my opinion, that's like one of the coolest things Google's ever done, just in terms of, you know, trying to make that happen.
I think you can do it from the Maps app too.
And I was just kind of looking
So
at.
this is the Maps. So this is Google Maps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you can do it for Maps as well.
No. That component that you're talking about, Sean, is Google Maps.
Oh, well, there you go. Shows what I know.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to get us closer to doing the lead ads. I think we can partially do it now. We just don't have it exposed, but it'd be a good time to bring all that in at the same time.
So it'll go back to being like in the beginning where GMB was one of the options to communicate with. So
Correct. That's
Facebook.
the idea. Mm-hmm.
You've been with us a long time, Melissa.
I know.
We love you for that too.
You remember that.
Yeah, that was a bummer
That's
when they
awesome.
took that down. I was really
When
mad
was
about it.
like, oh, I loved that. Okay.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I don't
I don't know if they do stats around this yet. I have a Google My Business agency account with some customers on it. So I don't know. I clicked on the messaging section to see like if it would give me more info, like, you know, like, I don't know how many messages a particular location has gotten, just to see what's up. But they all it does is tell you to go download the stupid mobile app.
Hey, Eric, you've had your hand up for a while. You want to hop off mute?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Hey, how you been?
You guys are awesome. Just as a company
thanks.
doing this call, and like, you know, if I didn't own my own companies, I'd want to work for you guys. You guys are great. So
We're always hiring.
Well, thanks.
I just want to say that. No, I'm
Don't
not.
say
I love
that.
what I do.
We don't want him to come over. We want him to stay right there.
Yeah, no. I'm good. I'm good where I'm at. My question is, I represent a lot of gyms, and just like mine, I have 6 customer service employees, and 300 members. So if Cheryl texts somebody from HighLevel and her Twilio number, she texts Bob. Bob goes on, vacation, then he responds back a couple of days later, but Cheryl's now on vacation. I'll see that he messaged her, he replied. Is there a way, or will there ever be a way for me to reply for Cheryl from her number when she's out of town? To basically choose the text number that I reply from, so I can, reply from Cheryl's number as Cheryl in her absence. Because if I just send him a message, he's going to get a text message from another cell phone number, and it's going to, might be weird.
Well, why are you assigning to begin? So if you want to operate in a group scenario, why do the assignment?
Well, we're a gym. So we have, I have a self-defense program and a fitness program.
Okay.
So my self-defense instructor reaches out to a client and just says, hey, it's Cheryl, I want to check in on you. There's a pandemic. How is your family? He responds back to Cheryl. Yeah, hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for messaging. But she went on vacation.
Yeah, but
I don't want him to
so
think-
let's just say you had one number and she just
Okay.
said in the message, "Hey, this is Cheryl." Right? So now
We
you have
could
one
do
number.
that.
Okay.
Everybody has their own number. That's
think-
the problem.
I want to
Well,
say
and-
that we're already handling this, right? Like once we send an outbound message, it doesn't matter who you change the user to, we still keep that number associated to it. I don't think
No, it switches if the person texting out has a number.
Yep.
So do you need every person to have their own phone number?
That's
Can't
a
they
great-
use the same?
Yeah, I get where you're going with that. So I could have another account that doesn't have a number assigned to it, and that account could
Well,
respond.
here's
to Owen.
a really dumb question for you, actually. What is the root reason why you did it to begin with?
That's
Why
great
have
customer
different
service.
phone
No, I think the question is, why does every coach need to have an independent number instead of one?
Great customer service. I mean, we have most gyms average 10% retention. We're 2%.
No, but
attrition.
but that doesn't. So, like, what's the root reason you said to yourself, "I want one phone number," or "I want multiple phones"? Excuse me,
It's a
for a person.
personal technical reason.
person
That's
to have
a good
their own
question.
phone number, because you could just buy one phone number for the entire gym and have
Yeah, you
everyone
could.
text out into the same phone number.
Yeah, if somebody has a question regarding self-defense, it doesn't help them to message my front desk person. You know, if somebody
Got
has a
it. So
question
you're
about
trying
billing,
to-
it doesn't.
So if you assign the lead, though, so let's say I come in and you assign me to Bob, and Bob's a because I've come in under the self-defense funnel or whatever, right? The way the system should operate today, Vernon, correct me if I'm wrong, but based on the fact that I'm already assigned to Bob should get that notification directly. And if I call in, by the way, I know for sure I'll be routed to Bob because the system knows who I am and they know who I'm assigned to. I don't need that. Bob doesn't need to have his own phone number in order for me to reach him.
That is right. And you could do all of this using one phone number. So the customer doesn't even know that there are two separate phone numbers.
And in reality, yeah, the customer would never know that
No,
there's.
but just answer your other question. It is already on the list. Like there's a lot of updates we're making to conversations, including things like send later, which we don't have right now, like schedule a message to just send an hour later, 2 hours later. And as part of that, we are adding in the send as well, where if you're an admin, you can pick one of the other users that you can send as the user. So what you're asking for will happen, but you can already solve for this without doing that.
Yeah, you've given me 3 solutions and they're all great. So I just got to decide which one to implement. You guys are awesome.
Eric, just so you know, at the HighLevel agency, we have the same scenario with account managers. We have multiple account managers and we're catering to different agencies, right? And we use one number. Each account manager has different tracking numbers assigned to them.
Got it. Cool. All right, cool. Thank you.
Guys, on the same topic, I had asked this the other day. I'm in a situation like in a dealership, and I'd like to be able to create like groups. So if someone's texting to the sales department or to the service department, currently in some software I have, I'm using one phone number, and we basically set up a keyword for each person so that we can just direct the call to them, and they can actually hot transfer the messages between themselves or from or to anybody. That's some kind of functionality I'm looking for. Is that within the realm of what we're talking about here?
So I mean, a lot of these features we're looking at for later this year to just level up how the contacts work. Like have multiple emails and phones per contact, have the contact not just be assigned to one user, but a group of users. So a team of people can handle a lead instead of just one person. So a lot of these updates will roll out towards the end of the year, but these are all some core CRM changes. So we first need to get through the email workflows, getting the calendar out to public beta. So after all of those are done, we are going to take up some of these items, and there's bulk actions coming up. But after those are done, these core CRM improvements should come through.
Can we currently now, or am I missing, is there a way now, like, for example, someone texts into a dealership, it's being read by a receptionist. Can they, and what's an easy way to assign that over to somebody to follow up with that individual's inquiry?
So you can already assign a lead to a user. So let's say all the messages come in, the front desk person sees it and they're like, this is the right person to answer it. Unless you reply to a message or mark it read, the message shows up as an unread message. They could just assign the lead to whoever the right person is, and it'll start showing up for them. The conversation will show up as an unread conversation in that person's inbox, and then you can just have them reply.
So once they assign it, then they take ownership of that conversation? Is that like what happens? I see.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it'd be great within the group if we could round robin in the group. So if we have like 5 sales guys, we have 4 service guys, we text them to the group, and then it can round robin in the group. The first salesman grabs it, or the first service person grabs some.
So those type of features we will be looking at towards the end of the year. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You could theoretically do it, right? You can do customer replied SMS, and it executes into a campaign that's round robining.
Yeah, and you could add a group of users, like all your salespeople to one, all of your service people to the other. Yeah, you could kind of achieve this. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Sean, timeline on blog posting.
Yeah, good question. No timeline as of yet. So, and this is sort of, I think, part and parcel of a broader conversation. But on our side, we are really determined at making sure that everything that we have in the platform is absolutely comparable to anything you can find in the marketplace. And a great example of this is then the first thing out of the gate is our calendar upgrade that all of you will see. You know, a long time ago, we rolled out a calendar and it was great until it wasn't. And what we want to make sure is that as we move along, when we say we have a calendar or a booking system, that what that means is if you went out to Calendly or Schedule Once, besides some very fringy features, the core 90% of the feature set is there. And so we really are taking that as our mantra going into the rest of the year. So we're working hard on the replacing the really terrible drag and drop email builder we have with a better one. We are bringing out a drag and drop workflow builder to make creating campaigns and triggers a whole heck of a lot easier. So these are kind of our focal points at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't, one of our biggest stopgaps right now is in hiring great engineers. I would say, you know, it all really depends on how many people we push through the door. And then I also think it's about sitting down and holistically, and I don't know the right answer to this yet, but having a really good conversation about, after we do level things up, I do want to talk about what are the big next features. And I want to make sure that as we move forward, when we drop a feature, A, it's a higher quality out of the gate than what we normally would have done in the past. That's A. And B, I want to make really sure that everybody can monetize off of it. Because if we bring something out, it better be something you can sell, because otherwise it's a waste of our time and yours. And so I just think that is a go forward. But first and foremost, we need to get through those things I just mentioned as far as some of the level up stuff, because that to me is, if we rush out and throw blog posting out there, but we don't have a drag and drop workflow builder done that's high quality, or people can't figure out why a trigger didn't fire, or can't figure out why a lead got double added into a campaign. Like, these are the things that honestly are holding us back way more than not having blog posting. So it's important to me that those get done right first.
Okay, so for whoever asked that question, can you give us a use case scenario? Is it for SEO purposes? Is that an assumption? Or is it more like, hey, I just want to have something out there from a copywriting perspective as a feature? Whoever asked that question.
It's actually for 2 purposes. One, for what you just said, for blog posting, SEO. The other purpose is I actually wanted it for when a person submits a form that actually turns into a post. It's for lost animals, so lost and found animals. So it would just go right in to the whole process. Like, I'm doing it now with WordPress, but that's kind of what I'm looking to do.
Okay, cool. Just curious, because we are working on the SEO side and the website, and that's something that we're focused on in August. So if you have feedback on websites and SEO ability, that's definitely appreciated.
For sure. Thanks.
All right, John, is there something wrong with HTML code editor? When I try to save it, it says there's an issue verifying. The code was working before, but all of a sudden it's not. Anybody aware of any issues?
Hey, Varun, I think I know what the issue is. So what happens is if you put JavaScript between HTML, or if you put in like, sometimes if you do a Calendly embed, it has the iframe and the script tag. And if you put that and you embed that within the HTML, it complains. That's one thing that I've noticed. But I know that I've had older HTML code that has like HTML and like script tags mixed together. And that was generally where I was getting the issue. So when I just kind of separated it out, it worked.
I got it. So John, can you just send a sample of the code to me? You can just DM that to me, and then we can try that out and see what's happening.
Okay, sound good.
All right, next up, Robbie. I'm having trouble with emails sent from HighLevel via Gmail going into their spam folder. They don't go to spam when sent directly from my Gmail account, but through my HighLevel, they always do. Any tips? Switch to Mailgun.
So what he's saying is, yeah, exactly. So what he said, I think, okay, so I've seen this before. I think he's seeing the, I'm sorry, where is this question?
Robbie, are you sending from an @gmail.com or a G Suite email?
Hey Chase, it's a G Suite email.
Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. So what I've seen here is, have you branded your links yet?
What do you mean by that?
So we have link branding. So like instead of when you click a link, instead of it going to MSGS NDR, it goes to something else.
No, I don't think I've done that yet.
Yeah. So what I've seen is, so a quick test of this is turn off reply tracking and tell me if the problem goes away. If the problem goes away, it's because the MSGS NDR domain. And then the fix to that, I think, Varun, is he can just brand his own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
the AP. It's called the custom API field in agency settings.
Yeah. And so it allows you to basically make sure it's so that every link that goes out, including the reply tracking link off Gmail, is going to be branded to your own domain. So if so Google won't look at MSGS NDR and think that looks weird. It'll just be off your domain instead.
Okay, and that's in the agency settings, you said?
Yeah, absolutely. But just as a quick 2-second check, just switch off reply tracking, send one of the emails that was going to spam before, and just see if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that's the solution. Go brand your link.
Okay, cool.
Well, you want to brand them anyway, right? I mean,
I mean, there's no reason not to do that. By the way, we wish everybody would do that. That's why we worked on that feature. But it certainly solves for this problem.
Awesome. Okay, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
That's global, right, guys? That's not going to be per sub account.
No,
that's way too much work, in my opinion.
Mary Sue, update on calendar beta. I am ready.
Yeah, Varun, what you got?
So we'll be putting out a form later this week, asking for people who are interested in the beta, and I think the week after we should actually start letting people in.
Do you just make the assumption that everybody's interested?
Yeah, I anticipate a flood of people. And the good news is, and as you've seen, I mean, we've been using it internally. I'm really excited. Our onboarding calendar has been moved over, which is our first sort of round robin thing. And I don't know that we've run into any real issues there as of yet. So, and I've certainly been sending my calendar out that way now for at least a week. And so far so good. No one's complained. So we don't anticipate a lot of big bumps. It is just it's one of those things where it does just fully replace the existing calendar. And so we're just trying to figure out the right transition plan and make sure that all works right.
So really the reason we're going slow on it is because there isn't an easy migration path that we have from the current calendar to the new one. What we're doing internally is just ditching all of the old calendars and moving to the new one. We're going to do that with the public beta as well. But then we're going to try to build a bridge between the current calendar and the new one. So when we go live, people maybe have a one-click button where they can hit a button and move over to the new calendar. So we're seeing if that's possible.
Okay, that was my question is, how can we make it easy for our clients? Can you train us on how to do that? But if you build a button, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that going to account for any externally embedded calendars as well?
Nope, it will not. So as it stands today, you will have to go swap out all of these embed links yourself. But when we build this migration, we'll see if we're able to automatically swap them over.
All right. Sendinblue versus Mailgun. Currently using Sendinblue, and now no emails are being delivered. How do I go about switching to Mailgun? It's pretty easy, Derek. I mean, you just go create your Mailgun account. I mean, the easiest way is to go to gohighlevel.com/1-on-1 and buy for $97. We'll do it for you. Other than that, you just create a Mailgun account, go through the help docs.
Otherwise, hire Kristen. Oh, what's your last name? Rushman. Amazing, worth every penny. We were on Mailgun, then we switched over to Sendinblue before we realized that Mailgun was going to have the tighter integration. We're now moving everybody over to Mailgun and using Kristen's training. Just awesome. Can't recommend her enough.
Yeah,
Nice.
I think, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter what provider that you're on. There's a lot of like standard features that you need to make sure, like your DNS needs to be set correctly. The type of messages that you're sending, it needs to follow a proper method. And so I don't think there is a better or worse platform. We do have a great integration with Mailgun today, and they're one of the biggest providers out there.
Here's my soapbox on this. I think most people are confused because if you've used a prior product, you just sort of think your email magically gets to where you want it to go, but in reality, it never got where you wanted it to get anyways. You just didn't realize that was the case. I mean, there's no magic. I promise. Like no one in the world has a leg up on the email inboxing game, because at the end of the day, you got to realize the people that hold all the cards are Google and Microsoft. That's 98% of the market right there. And so it's really about just doing the things that you, first of all, should do to get yourself set up right. Like, and this is the stuff that Kristen Rutschman talks about, DKIM records, SPF records, all that stuff, so that when you're coming into Google, you're looking legit. And then from there, I hate to tell you this, but it's really reputational based, right? I mean, it's about sending messages people want to get, not having your emails have the spam button hit on them, like getting people to actually, they're starting to look at behavioral analytics, like how long are people reading emails? Are people replying to your emails? Sort of all of the same signals they use when trying to determine, whether a website should be ranked, right? These are the sorts of things that people do on email, and there's just no magic secret sauce around it. And I don't care if anybody tells you that, no offense, that they're just confused.
But the Mailgun integration that you guys have, now I'm able to set off triggers based on the fact that an email bounces.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That makes a difference. And to me, that
I totally agree with that.
Everybody back.
Yeah, and that's why we chose Mailgun, because from a delivery standpoint, their customers are Microsoft and Dell and MIT and the National Hockey League and Lyft, right? Really, they send a ton of email. They send way more email than almost anybody else. I mean, between SendGrid and Mailgun, I suspect they own a huge percentage of the transactional email market.
And Derek, the last thing I would add is going back to what we were just talking about. If you haven't set up your API domain to change the links, you should do that as well, because that could be part of the issue. Varun, is it quick to remove or hide GoHighLevel.com in the first promoter code?
Is this from the backend app?
This is like, they're looking at the source code and they're seeing that it says HighLevel on it.
I'll just do that right now.
Jacob, any updates on adding more than one contact to an opportunity? Varun mentioned a few months ago that it would be easy and done soon, but I haven't seen any updates.
More than one opportunity to a contact, or more than one contact to an opportunity?
More than one contact to an opportunity.
So I think that's the same thing that we talked about on this call, having an organization or a company created. So you have a company who you have an opportunity for, and you can have multiple contacts under that company. There might be 2 or 3 people who you need to follow up on for that deal. So that isn't on the list. And I'd be surprised if I had said that we're adding that in. It's on the list now, but it's probably going to be end of year before we do those items.
I think it was something that you mentioned before with how you can create a custom field with a phone number and an email, and then you would be able to see that conversation with those numbers in the same.
Yes, you can create a custom field for phone numbers and emails to store multiple emails or phone numbers on the contact.
Yeah.
But there's no way to text that number because there's no way to set a default number on the contact right now. So it'll show up as a phone number, but you can't really perform any action on it. So we will be fixing those this year.
Okay, so that's something that you guys are working on, where you can have like a company, like set up a company where you can have multiple contacts for a company.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
All right, Glenn, what happened to the link to book a Zoom 20-minute support call? GoHighLevel.com/support. It's gone.
Who's asking that question?
Glenn.
Glenn, are you?
I think we moved it.
Yeah, it's as long as you're a 297 customer, you'll see it on the right-hand side.
Okay.
And see it there.
Okay. So it's in that flyout, you're saying?
Yeah. Yep.
It should be. Can you double check?
I didn't, let me,
All right, while we're waiting, we're coming up on the hour. We got a bunch of questions, so let's go lightning round. Any plans to offer more than one file upload at a time?
Like bulk upload?
Yeah. Like drag 3 files into the file upload field.
So that, I mean, right now, it is possible to create multiple fields, but I think what people are asking for is multiple files in the same field.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason to not do it, but I'll add this to the list. So what type of file is this for? Like, what is the use case here?
So I think I wrote this question. My use case is I work with a lot of roofers and things like that, and they'll have before pictures and after pictures. So they'll take maybe like 7 pictures before, but it could be 1, it could be 7, it could be 20, and their after pictures could be 1.
Yeah, I get that. Like we do need like a multi-file upload component. I think that's probably a good idea.
Stephanie and I always feel so guilty when you guys launch these amazing things and we go, but we also want this. So, no, we all acknowledge you guys are amazing. It is.
Yeah, so the hack for right now, right, is just do like before picture 1, before picture 2, before picture 3, and then after picture 1, after picture 2, after picture 3. That would work right now, right, Varun?
It would, yeah. But I've added that to the list. We'll make sure to action that.
Cool. Matt, would like some clarity about the listings manager service. So what happens when you stop it? More specifically, who inherits ownership control of the 70 plus listings? So that's Yext. Basically, when you stop, the listings become unlocked. And therefore, various places around the internet can alter the data, is the answer that you'll get back from Yext.
Yeah, so I saw that in the answers there, and I was wondering, is there, by unlocked, so like generally speaking, when you go and activate one of these directory listings, you're essentially claiming ownership of it, right? So you do whatever you need to do to verify that, hey, this is my domain or whatever, and then once you claim ownership of such a listing, technically speaking, you should never, unless you forfeit it, then it will remain yours. And so I'm wondering, like, is there anything that can be done where once you stop the service, the business can inherit their ownership of the listing instead of just having to actually go manually and do it all on their own? Because, you know, I would say for the vast majority of small businesses, they're not going to be making any major changes on a monthly basis to their address or any of the things that are going to be changing on these listings.
Yeah, so it's not the fact of the business making changes. I completely agree. It's the possibility of competitors or other listing services that'll come in and modify it. And I've actually seen that happen where, like in really competitive cities, actually, I don't know if the person's on the line, but they do a lot with water restoration. And it's a super competitive field where people are gaming it by going into their competitors who don't have their Google listings updated, and they'll swap the phone number out to a tracking number that goes back to their competitor.
That's awesome. So then, but the point is if you pay for this service, so let's say I'm a small business and I pay for that $30 a month service. In that first month, through HighLevel will claim ownership of all those things, of all those listings for me, because you need to claim ownership in order to change the details anyway. So what I'm saying is, like, the point at which I stop that $30 a month service, give me the ownership of those things so that these third parties can't go and change stuff, because they can't, because I've already claimed ownership of it. Like once
right? it's not necessarily HighLevel doing it. You know, we're using Yext as the company that handles all of that, and they're the big provider. They're the big, company that handles all of it. They the service that they have is either it's on or off. It's not really like, just use this for a month and then we'll hand you everything. That's unfortunately not their business model.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Yext that claims the ownership, and then when you stop paying, they turn it off.
Yeah, because if they did what you're asking, they effectively wouldn't have a business. People just sign up for a month and then, it's just a handover service at that point.
Right.
It's a big pay for play scheme. Don't get me wrong, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, we're running out of time, so we're going to keep moving here. Scott, Sean, I think you replied to my Slack question about Golf Pro's multiple packages.
Did I?
Can you elaborate on how the new calendar will make it simpler? So yeah, you basically have a master group and then services within it. So like we have our one-on-one call, and then we have 4 or 5 agents within it. So like each agent is a service. So it could be a service or it could be a user. And so Scott, I don't know the details about Golf Pro, but essentially that enables you to send people to one calendar, and it round robins the availability of whoever's in the group.
Am I on? You got me on?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, no, it's like 6 golf pros, and they each have their own calendar, and they each have like 6 different packages, like a half hour, $80, whatever. So whoever replied to me said I would have to make 6 separate calendars to integrate that with Stripe for each golf pro. So that's 36 calendars. So how can I integrate that with Stripe if they each have like 6 different packages? Each golf pro has 6 different packages they offer. The only thing I could think of is some sort of drop down with a condition that switches the Stripe package on that condition of the package they pick.
Wouldn't it make sense to offer the product first and then go into the scheduling?
Create a product, and then they select a product, and then that
do it almost like a funnel, right? Like, so someone goes to a landing page, they pick what product that they want, and then the thank you page is to the
calendar
provider. Yep.
So how does that?
But what about the new calendar? Can the new calendar take different price points for different services?
Yeah, I'm not understanding how the.
That's a very question.
I have no idea. Nikunj is on the call, so he might know.
You can specify the different amount for each service.
So it is possible, apparently.
How to select in a product?
Yeah, so in the new calendar, you're able to sort of specify a service, right? So that would be like.
I think the confusion here is around how to set it up now. So it doesn't exist today. So this new calendar is going into beta this coming week. And in that calendar, you will be able to do this.
Yeah, I was going to say like hold out for 2 weeks and you'll be good.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool. All right, next up. Is there a plan to create actual and legal contracts instead of have a form with a signature at the bottom? I'd love to be able to download the final contract as a PDF, send a copy.
Yeah. So we're kind of going to change how that signature thing works temporarily. What we're going to do is, we didn't think that through properly, but we're going to remove it from the custom fields. Once the form is signed, like if you take that signature out of context, it really means nothing. So we're going to create a PDF out of that actual form submission. You're just not going to be able to design that contract today. Like we're not going to add in a drag and drop PDF designer where you can design this for the form and have it autofill. But you will be able to download the submission with the signature in context. But at some point, you will be able to do that as well.
But I still think that default format will hold water for like 99% of people.
Yeah, will you be able to put like
the signature image, does that become available? Because technically with Zapier, if you have a contract, like if you create a template within Google Docs, you could pass all that information to Google Doc and generate your PDF right through Zapier, essentially.
Well, that's the idea though. So the idea is like to take like if you look at the more advanced
so I think it comes down to the legality of it. Like if we just capture the signature and send it over, I guess at that point it's lost all meaning, right? Because it isn't even in the context of what was submitted. Whereas if we capture that signature and create a PDF out of it, timestamp it, we have the IP address of the person who signed. At that point, it's at least, it means something.
Well, what are they signing at that point? I guess is what are they signing?
Well, that's the idea. So I think where it becomes contextually important is you look at all the form fields that that were with it. You put it together with a signature. So what they're signing is signing that form.
To the form as well, right? So you can add text to the form where you can say by signing this agreement, I agree to this, this, and this, and all of that. And we'll go with the default PDF format that looks like an official document or something that's signed, which you can just download. And all of the text, everything that was designed in the form just shows up in a nice manner in that PDF. So you have a default version of it. And at some point, we'll figure out how to make that designable.
I think what we're really trying to get here for everybody is to get to the point where you can send out your client proposals this way, or your client agreements this way, and get a really good looking sort of signature back on them.
Yeah, that would be huge. In my use case, at least right now, I send one of my clients they do license. They have a company that is basically has franchises under them, and they send out probably like 20 different contracts in their onboarding process. So for me, it's a crazy pain in the butt. And if I could just have those contracts all within the platform, it would make things so much easier. You know, I'm using like Sign Now and Zapier to send out 25 contracts for each.
How long will that take to fix that, like to change that up for him?
You're on mute, Varun.
I said we'll have a call tomorrow morning, and in the stand-up, we'll figure it out. Right now, we have the multiple file uploads and the signature thing to action out. So we'll know more before next week's call. But I'd say a couple of weeks at the latest, like 2-3 weeks.
All right, cool. Well, we've hit the hour, and looks like that was the last question. So thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you next week.